Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Today I am breaking down all of my tips, tricks, and techniques on how to apply liquid winged liner. I was so overwhelmed when I first started to attempt a winged liner back in the day, but over time with practice and just trying over and over again, messing up, learning from my mistakes, I've learned a lot of different things and just a lot of different tricks that have helped me accomplish nailing the winged liner. It's actually been quite a while since I've done a winged liner. The other day I just felt like doing it and I was honestly scared because it had been so long since I have done it, especially regularly, and I was shocked when it still turned out okay. So I'm glad that my little hacks that I've kind of just done over time have just kind of stuck with me and are actually really helpful even when I'm out of practice. I also tried a little bit of a different technique and I did a very naked and blank lower lash line. I didn't even put mascara down there. It is just empty, but I'm loving it. I feel so fierce. I feel just like, you know what I mean? Like I just feel real sassy with it. So I really hope that you guys enjoy my tips and tricks. I hope that this is helpful. I'm going to break it down step by step, and I also share some tips for hooded eyes. I also walk you through what's on my face, my lips. I do the whole makeup look, but this is pretty much going to be a liner focused tutorial. So I hope you like this video. Please subscribe and let's just jump right in. Okay, to start off this look, I'm gonna do the face first. I just personally love doing my face first, but if you're a beginner at doing wing liner or you kind of struggle with it a little bit, I would probably suggest to do that first because then you can always go clean it up. And then sometimes when you do your liner, if you do your face first, you can kind of mess up the face. So I'll walk you through it step by step and give you all my tips and tricks. But I'm gonna start off with my face and I'm gonna be using my favorite primer at the moment. This is the Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Primer. This kind of goes on and feels like a balm, but it's like really silky smooth at the same time. I'm just doing one small pump and then just apply this on the skin. And then for foundation, I'm gonna be using this one from Chanel. I got this, I think in June, and I hadn't used it since, and now lately the last like 2 weeks I've been using it constantly. So this is the Chanel Revitaliscent foundation. This one here, there it is, Red Camellia Revitalizing Foundation. I have the shade B30, which matches me perfectly. I don't have any self tan on right now. This is just my skin. So yeah, I'm gonna be using a Fox 4 brush. This is in my Sigma brush set that I created. Love this for foundation. So I'm gonna do one pump at a time and then just work it into my skin. This just gives a really beautiful finish to the skin. I feel like it just kind of perfects it without giving you like a crazy amount of coverage, which I really like. And then it gives like a nice, just a natural finish. Like you can see it has like a dew to it, but it's not crazy dewy to where you're gonna look like wet and oily. Super random, but I have been using a gua sha tool and like doing that whole method just the last like couple of days, and I love it. I did not take any like before pictures, but I think I might now just because I feel like I can see like instant results. It's basically like, I don't know. I just really like it. I've decided I need to really get into my skincare game. I've been really lazy like the last 2 years just with, I just literally, it's a cleanser and a moisturizer. That is my skincare routine. But I feel like I'm finally ready to start incorporating more and just bringing it to the next level. Do you guys see that dot? I swear it's so random. Sometimes it's worse and sometimes it's not that bad, but sometimes my skin just doesn't accept pigment, and so I usually can tell just with like bronzer and contour, but I can see it even with foundation. Okay, foundation's on, and now I'm going to conceal. This is the Pat McGrath concealer in the shade LM9. This is my favorite. I'm going to bring this here and here, dot in there, and then right there, and then anywhere else I need a little TLC. I just put it next to my lips because I just see a bunch of people do that. I guess if I had like a brightening color, but this pretty much blends into my skin, so maybe that's not gonna do much for me. Okay, and I'm just using a Sigma FO3 to blend this in. Oh no, I want to do my beauty blender. What am I thinking? I'm just so used to using this brush, but I have been enjoying this beauty blender. I used to use a beauty blender all the time, and then I just got so used to brushes, but lately I have been using the beauty blender and I really like it. I just have it. Grab that brush. I'm really making sure that I'm getting up into the lash line. I really want to make sure it's nice and bright and concealed under there just because of what we're doing with the eye look. Then I'm gonna go in with some bronzer. I'm using my personal favorite, the Charlotte Tilbury Cream Bronzer, and my Smith 157. Okay, I'm gonna set with the Laura Mercier powder and my little powder poof. Really making sure I'm brightening up all of this here, getting it right up against that lash line. And then just dust that away. Going in with just the powder bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury, just to bronze up the skin as a whole. So I quickly just contoured my nose, and now I'm gonna go in with blush. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get this anymore, but Becca had the best blushes. This is Songbird. It's so beautiful. I know that Smashbox took over their most popular products, but I'm pretty sure they didn't do any blushes. So just, it's kind of like a bronzy peach color. So I'm going to apply this onto my cheeks. And then lightly dust it everywhere else. And then I'm going into the Pat McGrath highlighter that I've been loving. This is in Golden Moonlight. Popping this on the cheekbones, and then my nose contour just like is acting crazy. I just cannot contour my nose today. It looks so weird. The contour in general today looks weird. I don't know, like my skin's just really blotchy today. I think it's from, I don't know, like I don't think it's the makeup. I think it's like my skin just acting up today. But I feel like sometimes when I apply highlighter on my nose, it kind of helps to soften the weirdness. So hopefully it does today. Good enough. Okay, for my eyebrows today, I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer in the shade Brunette. This used to be my jam, and I totally forgot about it. So I'm going to be doing my brows with this. They're a little darker than normal, but I kind of like it. All right, it's finally time for the eyes. So to begin, I'm going to be using the Painterly Paint Pot from MAC just to prime. Pick it up right here with my fingers and just push it in on the skin, and then just take a little bit of face powder and set it into place. Okay, so for my eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. It's just such a classic. It's so good. It's got everything you need. These were inspired by different skin tones. So whatever your skin tone is, you're going to find the perfect lid, crease, and like contour shade for your eye for you. Mario was inspired by all different complexions and skin tones, and that's why he created this. So I love the backstory. I love the palette. They're so beautiful, and this is what we'll be using. So I'm gonna go into a very fluffy brush. This is the brush I created with Sigma, my Fox 1 fluffy brush. This is clean. It doesn't look like it, but there's like, okay, there's a little bit on there, but not much. I'm just using this one, and I'm first going to start off with this color right here, and I'm pretty much just gonna be using all of the like lighter, more neutrally shade. Well, this one's pretty warm, but yeah. So I'm gonna start here and maybe grab a little bit of that one because that's too light, that's a little too dark for what I'm wanting. So I'm just kind of mixing them together. I'm gonna start on the outer crease, just doing circle motions and then bringing it up into the crease and connect it into the nose. So it's like that. And now I'm gonna pick up this shade by itself. I always kind of start light and then move a little bit darker just because it's easier to add than it is to take away. So now I'm just adding more. And with this look today, I'm not bringing this at all underneath on the lower lash line, which was so hard for me to do. You know, all I want to do right now is just wrap this around my eye and smoke out the bottom. I legit almost did that, but I remembered that's not the look we're doing today. So yeah, if you like that look and you want to do that, totally just bring this around, but we are keeping this up high today for a blank lower lash line look. Okay, now we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other eye. This is such a simple eye look. You probably don't even need to do as much as I'm doing, but sometimes I can be a little extra. It's funny, there's like rarely an in-between for me. It's either like the bare minimum, make me look decent as fast as possible, or it's even for a basic ass look, let's do 500 steps. And now we are going to add to that. I am gonna pick up, I think this shade here right underneath that one, but I'm gonna mix them together because that's a little too dark. So I'm pretty much gonna go dot, 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 dot. And now we can build onto this look. And I start here and then bring it in. I'm gonna do a little bit more of just that darker shade and then bring it through. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing, but with this shade. Mix those two together and do the same thing. I'm holding really far back on my brush so I don't apply 500 pounds of eyeshadow at one time. We could still apply 500 pounds, but just little by little. Okay, I'm just gonna wipe off this brush and just wiping it off on my table, going with the first two lightest shades and just lightly going over the edge, making sure everything is nice and blended. Just taking a random clean brush and I'm gonna go into that shade here and I'm gonna mix it with this lightest shade. Look up into my mirror. I'm gonna bring this right underneath the lower lash line and just pack it on to really brighten up under there. And that kind of like nudifies your lashes too, and just like really keeps that really bright and just like clean. I'm gonna bring this shade alone on that same brush and just lightly dab it on the lid. I don't want too much of this though, because I don't want like an intense brightening effect going on my lid. I just want to clean it up a little bit and re-emphasize that there is a differentiation between the crease and the lid, and then go back in with my fluffy and just re-emphasize the crease. I know it's a lot of back and forth. I'm gonna highlight my eyes. I'm gonna be using my face highlighter for this. I'm gonna bring this right here and really brighten the inner corner, the brow bone as well. And then just blend that out. It's time for eyeliner. Time for me to share all of my tips and tricks with you and walk you through this step by step so that you can feel confident when applying your eyeliner at home. It's literally the most easy thing. No, it's not. I just lied. It takes practice. With time, you'll get the hang of it. So my first tip, number one, is I'm doing liquid liner today, but if you really struggle with perfecting your liner, I would absolutely just start with eyeshadow. I haven't used like liquid liner in so long, it feels. And even still, like I'll do winged looks, but I always use eyeshadow. I always use like a dark brown shadow. And then the reason why I say to start there is because it's so much easier to clean up a mistake with shadow. And a lot of times too, like when you do a shadow wing look, it's just, it kind of goes with the vibe if you kind of like smudge it out, because then it's more like effortless and smudgy. So tip number one, start with shadow if you're really struggling, and that's how you can kind of practice. For the majority of my time on YouTube, my favorite form of eyeliner was in a gel form. So it would come in a pot kind of like this, then I'd get a brush, and that was just my favorite way to apply my liner. And I don't know when I made the switch over, but this has just been my ride or die for like the last 3 years at least. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Flash Cat Eyeliner. I just love this, and I think this is my second or third one, but I feel like they last forever. But also I'm not doing like liquid liner wings all the time, so that's probably why, but it's just amazing. So I think that this is comparable to bougier brands, higher priced point makeup products. And the cool thing is I don't ever use this, but you can. This has like a measuring tool, so when you're using it, you can actually use that to help you line your eye. So keep that in mind. This is what it looks like. I have a black color. I don't know if it comes in anything else. Step number one is you need a handheld mirror. It can be a makeup compact that you use the mirror for. Make sure your mirror is clean. That will help with your concentration. You know, so many times I'll use a mirror and it's so dirty and then I get frustrated because I can't see, and it's like all I have to do is clean the damn mirror and I'll be fine. But you want a handheld mirror and not something that you have to look in the mirror for that's like on your wall or like on your vanity or whatever, because you want to be able to move your mirror around while you're moving your head and stuff so that you can accurately access that area and slay your winged liner. Okay, does anybody say slay anymore? Okay, let's get ready. We gotta stretch. Okay, when I do my liner, I'm gonna grab my mirror. I have my chin up. I'm gonna be looking down with my eyes, and my mirror is gonna be down here. This way I can see everything I'm doing. If my mirror was straight and I was looking at it, I'm gonna end up squinting. Side note, if you have hooded eyes, disregard that tip, because if you have hooded eyes, you're most likely going to want to look straight. I'll give you more tips as I go for hooded eyes. If you're curious about if you have hooded eyes or not, just go to Google Images. Pretty much if you open your eyes all the way, if you can see the lid and there's a crease and then the hood of your eye, then you don't have hooded eyes. But if when you open your eyes, the lid kind of goes back a little bit further to where you visually can't see the lid and it's primarily the hood, then that is a hooded eye. You can still do winged liner. It's just the way that you're gonna go about it is gonna be a little bit different. So I'm gonna walk you through this first and I'll give you hooded eye tips and tricks as we move along. I'm shaking this up because the product is in here. It's gonna move down into the bristles, and then that's how you're gonna load it. So if you ever find that your pen or felt tip liner or brush or whatever is drying up, make sure to shake it and let it sit down, because then that will fill back up with product. So how I'm gonna start is looking down into my mirror, and I'm gonna go at the outer corner of the eye. I am going to follow the line of my lower lash line and not my upper. If I follow my upper lash line, for me, the wing ends up going too high up at an angle, and it isn't as flattering for my eye shape. If you prefer that eye shape for you, then follow that line. But for me, I like to follow the lower one, which is literally the tiniest space. You would think that that wouldn't really make that much of a difference, but trust me, it does. I'm gonna look and I'm gonna see that right there. So I'm not coming up here and starting up here. I'm starting down here. And I'm literally going, like, you can kind of feel your orbital bone in there. You feel that? I'm going like right into my orbital bone. And so then a way that you can measure it so that your wings are gonna be even is you can take this or a brush or whatever, line up to the outer corner of your eye and then the outer corner of your nose. And that should be the shape for each side. Now, depending on how advanced you are in applying your liner, you can customize that. I tend to bring it a little bit lower and a little bit more out towards the top of my ear. So it goes closer this way than this way, but that's up to you. But a good rule of thumb is to start there. And that can actually help you then. It's like, say you do this, then you can, you know what I mean? You can measure with that. So I like to start down here. I'm gonna flick it out. A big tip is to not put too much pressure on the end, but you don't wanna flick it because you're gonna end up losing control of the liquid liner. So it's gotta be like a little sweet spot. You wanna control it as you go, but you don't wanna like stamp it at the end, because then you're gonna have a big dot at the end, and that's not the vibe. The other thing, sorry, there's a lot of tips before we like even jump into it, but the other thing is, as we're applying, I actually use my face and my fingers for balance points. So as I'm applying, like you'll see I'll have my pinky like on my skin, on my face like this. That's why at the beginning of the video, I said sometimes you can mess up your face makeup when you're applying your winged liner. I set everything in place. It should be good. I have no problem going in and touching up if I need to, but keep that in mind, especially if you're like first getting started and you need to like full blown put your whole fist on your face. Maybe do your eyes first and then do the face after. Okay, I think we're ready. Start here. I'm using my pinky as a balance point. There we go. Okay, let's do the other side. I'm using my palm here. This one's going a little bit higher, this one's a little bit lower, but whatever. I don't care. So now we need to bring that in and kind of create like that almost like triangular shape. I think it's very easy to want to go to where that ends and then drag it in, but I always recommend to go halfway to that point. So instead of starting here and dragging it from that outer point in, I start at this point, at halfway where the line begins and ends. You go halfway and bring it in, because then you can always build onto it. If you start out here, your wing is gonna go into your hairline eventually, because you wanna leave room for error so that you can go back and fix and add on, take away and stuff like that. So if you start short, you'll be good to go. So I'm gonna start at the halfway point. So I did not drag on just the very tip of my liner brush. You can see here, there is a very fine tip. I used a little bit more of the entirety of the liner. So I dragged it kind of horizontally so I could use more of that product, and then it does the work for you because you've laid it on its side. It will naturally just create a straight line. So I brought it to there, if you can see, boop. And now I'm gonna lay it on its side to use the entirety. See how much easier that is? It kind of creates the line for me because I've laid it flat and it just applies the product because I've just laid it flat. Where if you went at it directly like this, it's gonna be so wiggly and uneven because it's a flimsy tip and you need it to be more solid. Also, as I'm applying this to my lid itself, I'm looking directly down into my mirror because now all of this is available and I can access it without blinking and getting irritated. I'm just filling it in. We can move on and build up. So this is where we're at. You can see there's obviously things that need to be fixed. Number one is down here. This needs to get filled in. And now we need to build on here. And see, I kind of just went back and forth and added onto it. And now we need to fix the tail because now it kind of looks like we have this weird hook. Now we can go in and just slowly build onto it to get the exact length and shape that we want. I'm holding this on my nose actually as a balance point. Okay, here, there's like a random little dot there. I'm just gonna lay it on its side and push down. This worked out nicely. It's turning out really nice. But if you ever accidentally have the liner go up a little bit too far to where it looks like it just rose up in one spot and it's really small, let it dry and then take your finger and grab the skin above it, like with your nail or even just like a nice soft edge like this, and you can push the skin down and it will literally kind of like cover it. That skin on your lid is so loose. When that happens, it feels like all you want to do is then like build on it then and fix it and straighten it out. But what you'll find is you'll keep adding more and adding more and adding more, and then before you know it, your whole lid is covered in liner. So instead of doing that, let it dry and then grab something like this or your finger and just kind of grab that skin above it and just kind of like push it down. And you can kind of just like manipulate the skin to cover up that mess up. Works like a freaking charm. Okay, I am now going to elongate this wing because I'm loving it. I just want it to be a little bit more swoopy. But when you get to the very end, when you know like you're done, you enjoy the shape, you want to pointify that point. So you want to start from inside of this little triangle here and then flick out small, very small. I'm so glad that turned out so great because sometimes when I talk and I explain, it's a little tricky. Plus, it's a lot quicker if once you get a little bit more efficient at it, to not let each step dry just because then it's hard to work with. It gets a little sticky kind of. But that is what that one looks like. We'll see how this one turns out in comparison because then I can kind of manipulate it if they're not even. It's very rare that mine are exactly perfectly even, so don't get discouraged if yours are different. And to be honest, even if it's obvious that they're different, no one's gonna notice. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I've never noticed someone's eyeliner being uneven until they point it out to me, and then I'm like, oh yeah, maybe a little, but like I never would have noticed. Just keep that in mind. No one cares if they're uneven, and it's probably not that noticeable. So just saying. All right, let's do this side. Also, quick tip, because I'm now working on my left eye and I'm right hand dominant, when I work on it, I'm not just going like this. I'm literally taking my elbow and crossing it across my body and then flipping this around like this. I share this in my eyeshadow tips and tricks video because that's how I apply my eyeshadow as well. But sometimes, like, I just feel like that position doesn't really come that natural. So literally elbow across. So I'm like literally cross my boobs and then I come at it this way so I can access it this way. Maybe that isn't comfortable for you. Maybe you enjoy going this way, but I feel like my nose gets in the way. So just keep that in mind. Okay, and then once I finished the other eye, I could see I did want it to be a little bit longer. So I always start shorter because then you can build on, especially once you've got them both on, then you can really get an idea for what it's actually going to look like. It kind of worked out because I kind of had that like little, okay, you barely can tell. I have a little bump here where it's not the most even. So I'm just gonna take my the back end of my tweezers and just push the skin above it down. Let me see if I can look straight, if you can actually see it. It's just right there. It kind of just bumps a little. So I kind of just like pushed the skin down. So now they're drying. You also want to make sure that as you're doing your winged liner, try not to look up. That's why a lot of times I haven't been looking at the camera directly. I've been looking just in this downward motion because I'm keeping this whole area open, because if I open my eyes, sometimes it can go up into the crease. If that happens, just let it dry and then you can flake some of it off and kind of rub it and then go in with your shadow. But you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So with everything I just said, if you have hooded eyes, what you want to do is look straight into your mirror like this. And I like to kind of map out what I can see, because the obstacles that people face when you have hooded eyes is that when your eyes are looking down or closed or whatever, you can see the wing and it's beautiful. But then when you open the eyes, it tends to cut the liner, or it can completely disappear as well. So with hooded eyes, usually you'll end up having to do a more dramatic wing than you anticipated, but trust me, it will still look really good. Also, remember at the beginning when I was talking about the angle of the line, how I prefer to kind of bring it down towards the top of my ear more than at this angle here. You can see here as I'm holding this, this is technically the angle that's standard, and you can see my wing peeking out because I lowered it. That is a hooded eye trick. So try to bring it not necessarily exactly towards your ear, because that's going to be straight up horizontal like this. See, mine is kind of like in between that angle. Just maybe lower it a little bit so it's just a little bit more out rather than up. So you want to first look straight into your mirror and map out that outer area. Then look down, fill in the wing, and then once it dries, open them back up and make sure you can still see the wing. If you can't, just add on to it. It can be done. It can just seem a little overwhelming when you open your eye and the wing just disappears, but just work with it and try looking straight and just kind of mapping it out. Sometimes it can help, like, because if that's gone, then when your eyes open and you're looking straight into your mirror, grab the liner and maybe even do like a polka dot for, okay, this is where the end-ish should be. Then when you close, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's like so far away from where I thought it was going to be. But then if you fill that in and make it, and it might be a little dramatic, but then when you open your eye, you're gonna have a nice subtle wing. It's just interesting how it differs for different eye shapes. Okay, and as you can see, this one is a little less filled in. It's like a little bit thinner, where this one kind of seems like a little bit thicker, but whatever, it works for me. I'm just gonna re-emphasize this lower part of my lash line with some powder. We can complete the eye look with mascara, lashes, and then do our lips. But those are all of my tips and tricks for applying your liner. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. I do have another video on how to apply liner. I will link it right up here. The only difference is I use a gel form in that, and I just don't do that anymore, partially because I'd have to clean a brush every single time I used it because it would dry. And I just find that this is so much easier, it's so much cheaper, it's so convenient, and it does the work for me half the time. Let me know if my tips and tricks were helpful. Let's finish off this look. I'm gonna go into the L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara, my favorite, and I'm only doing the upper lashes. So I just applied these lashes from Ardell. They're in the style 429 and these are so beautiful. This was my first time buying these lashes and they just give this gorgeous, just like full fan effect. And it looks so good. I love these lashes. I wanted to show you one more thing that I totally almost forgot about and then I just did it and now I can show you how to fix it. So sometimes when I apply my lashes, that can kind of pull the skin down and it can take my straight, beautiful line of my winged liner and pull it down. Remember how I was talking about how sometimes if you accidentally make it go a little bit too high and then you push the skin down after it's dried? Same thing, we're just gonna do the opposite way. So just now when I applied it, it kind of pulled the skin down here in the front. Do you see it right there? That's just glue drying. But I'm just gonna take this, the opposite end of this, and just kind of pull the skin back up. And it kind of just straightened it out again. Now I'm gonna go back into my liner and cover up the band. And wham bam, thank you ma'am. We've got some dramatic, bold winged liner. I love this because it's like, and to finish off the look, I'm gonna do my lips. I'm using the Anastasia lip pencil in the color Cool Brown, which is just one of my favorites. It's so, so beautiful. Looks like this. If you have a deeper complexion, this would be such a good nude. So I'm lining my lips and overlining them just a little bit at the Cupid's bow. And then I take my finger and just blend the edges. My lips right now look like my eyes with like party on top, naked on the bottom. And then for lipstick, I'm gonna be using this one from Makeup by Mario. It's in the color Sierra. I need to clean this off because I just always layer it with deeper lip liners. So I'm just going to tap this in the center. This is like my favorite lip combo at the moment. It's the perfect like medium to deep nude for my skin tone. I wouldn't say this is a deep nude for my skin tone. I'd say this is pretty medium, but I just love the way that it works with the rest of this look. And I love that this look is such a statement. It pops, it's glam, but yet it's like natural at the same time. This is such a classic look you can pair with any lip color and like wear it to anything. I feel like I would feel so comfortable at the grocery store shopping and people wouldn't be like, oh, why are you so made up? But I could wear this to like a wedding or I could wear this to work and it wouldn't be like, well, obviously I'm wearing this to work. But you know what I mean? Like I could wear this to like a corporate job and like, I don't think people would be like, why are you so made up? I feel like this could work for a wedding look, like for a bride. It could be a wedding guest. Like this is just such a classic look. And yeah. So before I forget, let me show you it up close so you can see the wing and the rest of the look. I kind of went a little crazy on my nose contour today, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that completes everything for this tutorial. I really, really hope that this was helpful. I remember when I first started doing winged liner, I was just so overwhelmed. I felt like it was something that I could never do, but just over time and with practice, I got the hang of it. And I learned some things that work for me. They may not work for you, but either way, I hope you learned something from this video, and if not, I hope it was still just enjoyable to watch. So I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know down below what other videos you want a breakdown of. I can redo my eyeshadow video, or I could do lips, lashes, just anything you want, like a full breakdown, tips, tricks, techniques, and just all of that on, because I don't know, I just really want to help you feel confident when applying your makeup. I just want everyone to feel beautiful inside and out, and that's also why I've been wanting to incorporate more just like fitness and health things on here as well, but still stick with makeup because it always just feels so good to feel good on the inside and the outside as well. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. If you try it out, please tag me on Instagram, DM me. I would love to see your eyeliner. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye.